Lesson 34. Listen and repeat after me. We will look at the words will and may and might. Will indicates certainty. I will go tomorrow. I will go tomorrow. He will talk about the emergency. He will talk about the emergency. It will be a large amount of money. It will be a large amount of money. They will do all of their work. They will do all of their work. Let's look at the word may and the word might. May is usually used for a stronger possibility, and might is used for a weaker possibility. I may go tomorrow. I might go tomorrow. He may talk about the emergency. He might talk about the emergency. Stronger possibility. It may be a large amount of money. Weaker possibility. It might be a large amount of money. Strong possibility. They may do all of their work. Weaker possibility. They might do all of their work. I will go tomorrow. It is certain. I may go tomorrow. I will decide later. I might go tomorrow, but I probably will not. Listen and repeat after me. Helping verbs. Helping verbs that do not change their form. Can. I can go. I am able to go. Could. I could go. I have permission to go. May. I may go. It is possible that I will go. Might. I might go. I could go, but probably will not. Must. I must go. I will go because I do not have a choice. Shall. I shall go. It is inevitable that I will go. Should. I should go. I should go, but I don't want to. Will. I will go. It is certain that I will go. Would. I would go. I would go if I could, but I cannot. These helping verbs do not change from their form with person or time. For example, I might go. He might go. You might go. We might go. They might go. Helping verbs continued. To do. Do. Does. Did. Negative forms. Don't. Doesn't. Didn't. To have. Have. Has. Had. Haven't. Hasn't. hadn't. To be, am, is, are, were, being, been, negative form, isn't, aren't, wasn't, weren't. These helping verbs change form with person and time. For example, I do go, he does go, you do go, I did go, we did go, they did go, I have gone, he has gone, we have gone, I had gone, she had gone, we had gone. Listen and repeat after me. Vocabulary. Repeat each word after me. Annoyance, annoyance. Law, law. To be arrested, to be arrested. Arrest, arrest. Might, might. To be healed, to be healed. Arrival, arrival. Negative, negative. To be in charge, to be in charge. Belonging, belonging. Next, next. To be questioned, to be questioned. Certain, certain. Certainly, certainly. Certainty, certainty. Officer, officer. To believe, to believe. Charge, charge. Possible, possible. Possibility, possibility. To change, to change. Choice, choice. To grow, to grow. Priest, priest. Complete, complete. Completely, completely. Probable, probable. Probably, probably. To guard, to guard. Dead, dead. Probability, probability. To heal, to heal. Deed, deed. Shall, shall. To indicate, to indicate. Family, family. Since, since. To rise, to rise. Form, form. Teacher, teacher. Today, today. Growth, growth. To annoy, to annoy. Weak, weak. Weaker, weaker. Guard, guard. To arrest, to arrest. Weakest, weakest. Inevitable, inevitable. To be, to be. Would, would. Jail, jail. To be annoyed, to be annoyed. Listen and repeat after me. Expressions. They were still speaking to the people when the guards arrived. They were annoyed because the two men were teaching. They arrested them and put them in jail until the next day, since it was already late. But many who had heard the message believed. They made the men stand before them and asked them, "How did you do this?" Listen and repeat after me. The members of the council were amazed. The members of the council were amazed. They learned that they were ordinary men with no education. They learned they were ordinary men with no education. The members of the council were amazed to see how Peter and John were ordinary men of no education. The members of the council were amazed to see how Peter and John were ordinary men with no education. Listen and repeat after me. Pronunciation. A long time ago, there was a wise man living in the mountain country. The country was beautiful, but it was always difficult to find enough food. A long time ago, there was a wise man living in the country. The country was beautiful, but it was always difficult to find enough food. The people of the high country decided that they would travel together to the low country. When the snow began to melt, they packed all they owned into their wagons with anticipation mixed with sadness. The wise man and his neighbours left their high country homes. The wise man noticed something strange taking place. Just soon after they began their journey, as they travelled day after day, his right arm began to feel stiff. The further they travelled from the high country, the weaker it became. 3 things puzzled him. First, his arm always felt the weakest whenever they stopped in the village. Secondly, he noticed that when the travellers from the high country gathered round a fire at night to talk amongst themselves, his arm became strong again. The third discovery puzzled him the most. When he put his arm behind his back, it no longer felt stiff and useless. One day the man was startled as his wagon rounded a bend in a high mountain road. He looked down on his neighbours' wagons ahead of him, and he realised that many others were also holding an arm behind their back. As he looked on more closely, he saw some of the older people had even tied their arm in place with a rope. Why, he wondered, why was this happening? At last they reached the low country. The weather was warm, The fields could produce grain and the forests would supply lumber for their houses. Life looked promising. Promising, that is, except for their weak arms. It was rumoured that the Low Countries' air caused this strange weakness. Some of the people even said they must learn to live with this weakness if they wanted to stay in the Low Country. The adults and children set to work. They cleared the land, planted crops, and prepared lumber to build their new homes. A high country tailor sewed a new kind of coat that would hold their useless arms in place. He also put leather on the coat so the shoulder could push heavy loads. Even with the new coat, however, work was slow because everyone could only use one arm. Again, the wise man noticed a strange thing. First, he noticed that even though it caused them pain, the children soon began using their weak arm again. Secondly, the wise man noticed that whenever the high country people met together in their first building, if they all shut the doors and windows, strength returned to their arms, or even the oldest men and women. Surely, Moses said, this proves that the low country air is at fault. Most agreed that the only solution was to build houses so strong that all the low country air would be kept outside. But the wise man was puzzled. He was puzzled most because the children seemed to become stronger while playing and working outside in the low country air. The wise man watched his high country neighbours trying to build their house while using only one arm. He became fearful for his people's welfare. The new coat helped them work faster with one arm, but winter was coming and neither the house nor the crops could be ready if everyone continued to work with only one arm behind their back. The wise man learned a lesson from the children. He realized that even though it was painful, using his weak arm for hard work, this was the only way to make it strong again, because winter was coming. He knew he could not stop working on his house in order to spend all of his time trying to make his arms strong. But he also knew that he could not finish his house before winter unless he used both arms. The wise man decided that if he was to finish his house before winter, then he must spend some time each day strengthening his arm so that he could finish his house more quickly. The wise man spent some time each day both strengthening his arm and working on his house. He finished his house before winter. Some high country people perished that winter because the snow came before their crops were harvested and their houses were not finished. They had worked slowly every day because they were afraid to stop working on their house long enough to strengthen their weak arm. If you live in the US or in Europe and you cannot speak English well, you're living as though one arm was tied behind your back. You must work to support the family, but if you do not spend time each day learning English, you will be limited for the rest of your life. Spoken English learned quickly will help you so that you can still study at home by listening to these videos, and your English will improve every day. If you study in a regular fashion for, say, 6 months a year, your English will greatly improve. You will be more able and ready to earn higher wages, live more effectively in your community, and talk with your children in both your mother language and in English.